Get ready to dive deep into the heart of the political storm, right here on Pollitt-tics.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Pollitt-tics. It's a wonderful evening, nice rainy, dreary day here in the good old wonderful lands of the United States. Today, we're going to slice through the liberal spin on today's headlines with a conservative scalpel. Sprinkle of holy water, and enough laughs to keep the deep state from ruining your coffee break. I'm your host, Greg Pollitt, veteran of too many town halls and zero patience for nonsense. Today is October 7th, 2025, and we somberly reflect on the event that happened 2 years ago in Israel with the horrific Hamas attack, slaughtering thousands of people at a music festival. And also today, seeing President Trump roll out the National Guard to tame the chaos in blue city jungles like Chicago and Portland, and grinding our teeth over flight delays, turning airports into taxpayer-funded parking lots. All thanks to DC's endless shutdown circus. It's a heavy day. We're going to face it with faith, fire, and a few funny jabs along the way. So with that being said, dear Heavenly Father, on this poignant second anniversary of the October 7th atrocities, we lift up Israel and all our people, the victims, their families, still bearing the scars of unimaginable loss. Please grant wisdom to the negotiators in Egypt seeking peace amid the rubble, strength to the hostages, their families, and resolve to leaders worldwide to stand against terror without apology. Here at home, guide our divided nation through the shutdown squabbles and the street strife. Remind us that order and justice flow from you alone. Arm us with the truth to pierce the fog of fake news and soften our hearts with your joy, even in the storm. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, with prayers locked and loaded now, let's jump into it with the headlines that feel like a fever dream scripted by a committee of caffeinated squirrels. If October 7th, 2025 were a family reunion, Israel would be the resilient ant sharing war stories over hummus. Trump would be the uncle finally calling in the cavalry to stop the rowdy cousins from trashing the backyard. Yeah, we're looking at you, Chicago. And the FAA would be the forgetful grandpa who shut off the lights mid-party, leaving everyone bumping into suitcases at the airport or falling down the stairs. Like Joe Biden. We are now 2 years post the Hamas horror event, and Gaza is still a grind. The National Guard troops are on the ground in Illinois, eyeing Oregon next. And the flights are delayed longer than a Senate filibuster on fiscal sanity. The anniversary of October 7th, today was remembered across Israel. The sirens wailed, the streets fell silent today, as the nation marked 2 gut-wrenching years since Hamas's savage attack on October 7th, 2023. An onslaught of over 1,200 slaughtered, hundreds more kidnapped, and a blitz of barbarianism that shattered lives and the illusions of peace. In Tel Aviv, a national memorial ceremony drew tears and tributes, while in Gaza, indirect talks with Hamas kicked off in Egypt under international eyes. Sadly, no breakthroughs yet. Just a grim tally of depleted militant ranks and lingering hostages. Israel has ramped up civilian gun licenses post-attack, issuing thousands daily to a shaken populace. And what is the emotional toll? It's carving deep cuts. PTSD rates are soaring. Families are forever fractured or destroyed. A somber mood blankets the land, from memorials to the front lines. For me, as a conservative who's got more stars and stripes, ink in my heart than a tattoo parlor on the 4th of July, this anniversary isn't just history. It's a howling wake-up call. 2 years in, Israel is not backing down. They're not cowering. They're just carving out justice. One targeted strike at a time. Top Hamas brass, down to the foot soldier. The Iranian puppets scattered like confetti at a bad wedding. Those peace talks in Egypt? It's like seating a wolf and a shepherd at the same table and calling it diplomacy. The UN's inaction from the sidelines, while civilians pay the price. Classic globalist game of dodgeball. We've eased up on some gun rules here too, but Israel is doing it right. Arm the good guys, not the bureaucrats. The mental scars, the heartbreaking event of kids who saw the horrors that no child should. Parents burying their dreams and their children. And the West and President Trump and many conservatives stiffen their resolve to back Israel. Trump is right to echo the unyielding support. Biden's waffling is what created messes like this. The Ukraine war, Hamas finally growing some gonads to do something they'd been planning that they never should have pulled the trigger on. We owe our allies prayers, policy, and pride. May God fortify the people of Israel, stiffen their spine, and hasten the hostages' homecoming. Because freedom's front line isn't just in Jerusalem, isn't in Tel Aviv. It's ours too. So, with 2 years in, is Israel unbreakable, or is the world just asleep? Because to me, it seems like they've dug in their heels. President Trump recently announced that he'd received word that Hamas may be ready to finally return the hostages and return the ones who have passed. It's a very tragic event. And with that conflict and the conflict in Ukraine, the conflict in Gaza, it's a recipe for a disaster that at any moment, the right match, the right candle being knocked over, the right spark could easily ignite us into a World War III. Let's just continue to pray God keeps us all safe, keeps us steered from that travesty. President Trump is doing his best, stopping wars and conflicts that have been going on for years and decades. He truly is a man who deserves the Nobel Peace Prize, not because he needs another trinket on the wall, but for the world to acknowledge the good that he has done in this world. By bringing it to bear, by getting both parties to a table, and even if it was just President Trump playing the parental figure, sitting both the children down and threatening to spank their ass if they didn't stop messing up, grounding them by adding more tariffs, or really bring on the capital punishment with a military strike to both parties. We don't know what those negotiations were behind the scenes, but whatever they are, they've worked. Too bad the Democrats can't learn from that. Learn to work with your enemies. I mean, can't we all just get along? Republicans can. And we have clear evidence daily, weekly. The Democrats cannot. President Trump has stopped mincing words. He's deployed around 200 National Guard members from Texas to the Chicago area today, with boots hitting the pavement Wednesday to clamp down on riot-fueled lawlessness. He's dangling the Insurrection Act like it's a loaded deck against the Democrat holdouts. Targeting sanctuary city mayhem in places like Portland and even LA, while Illinois' Governor J.B. Pritzker and California's Gavin Newsom scream autocracy. And then they threaten to bolt from the Governors Association. U.S. officials are on site in Illinois and Oregon, framing this as a lifeline against the crime waves that Democrats have let fester and become infected. They are no longer just a pimple on the ass of America. It is a full-blown MRSA infection. Antifa. Violence. Illegal fireworks are already popping off. Governors versus the feds in a showdown straight out of a bad Western. Meeting at high noon. Waiting for the right moment. I don't know about you, but I'm excited. For the first time in my lifetime, we've got a president that doesn't take any shit. The closest thing that we've ever seen was President Bush's response after 9/11, when he stood in the Rumble and he cried out to the world and said, "They will hear all our voices soon." Before we invaded Afghanistan to go after the Taliban and Osama bin Laden, America felt whole again, even in the drastic days of those attacks that followed. Those actions brought America together as one. And today, because of the Democrats, think about it. Democrats are doing to this country what Osama bin Laden could never do. What Hitler or Mussolini or anybody could have ever thought of attempting to do. Everyone that has tried to destroy America from the outside has failed. But the Democrats, they're batting 1,000 so far. They're doing their best to destroy America from within. President Trump is treating this urban anarchy like the infestation that it is. Chicago has been a crime carousel since Al Capone traded Tommy guns for TikTok thugs in Portland. That's where autonomous zones mean free-for-all firebombing Fridays. The guard rollout, as I said, it's a dad mode activated. Kids, playtime's over. Hand over the machetes, put the firebombs away. ICE and police officers, grab your handcuffs. It's time to end this. So, are the governors finally going to play ball? Are the mayors finally going to play ball? Or are we going to have to watch President Trump invoke the Insurrection Act? If I'm J.B. Pritzker or the mayor of Chicago or the governor of Oregon or the mayor of Portland, I think I'd be giving it a serious second thought right now to end it. To stop with the chaos, join forces, and time to kick a little bad guy ass. And such a big move for them to quit the governor's club. Jesus, it's like Nancy Pelosi finally giving up chocolate. She's just going to turn to another $25,000 ice cream. This isn't fascism. It's federalism with fangs. Restoring the rule of law that our founders, our ancestors fought and bled for. Trump's playbook is pure Ronald Reagan. Peace through strength. At home and abroad. Because we're into a week now of the government shutdown, Democrats still refusing to come to the table without anything other than begging for money to give to illegal immigrants. Which, let's be honest, that's probably a large portion, probably isn't going to illegal immigrants. It's probably going to NGOs that go back into their pockets. While the government shutdown continues to go on, flight delays have been sparked throughout the country. Staffing is cratered at FAA towers, sparking delays at hubs like Chicago's O'Hare Airport. Which, did it really, or is that just a ploy to prevent planes with the National Guard from Texas to come in? Dozens of facilities are running skeleton crews, allegedly. All this because Republicans and Democrats, and with all honesty, this one is on the Democrats, can't pull their heads out of their asses to get this continuing resolution signed, fund the government. But this is the same old song and dance every single time. One party is in power and the other is the minority. It's pretty crazy. Hopefully we can get some negotiators in there, like trying to solve some of these peace deals across the world. Can get in and put their work in at the table and get Democrats to finally pony up and reopen the government. With today the bow on the 2-year vigil of the attack in Israel, Trump's troop surge, the shutdown, it's all a stark siren for fiscal sanity before we crash land in debt. And this is another economic ploy by the Democrats to not only beg for money for illegal aliens, but the U.S. government loses around $1 to $2 billion daily with the government being shut down. They're trying to prevent President Trump from getting another win, which is so silly and ridiculous because it's not Trump getting the win, it's America getting the win. Trump may be the puppet master pulling the strings of these policies to make that happen, but ultimately it benefits you and me, everyone else in America. So when you look at this government shutdown and you see the jobs being lost, you see the military families that are going to food pantries, and just remember, the Democrats did this to hurt you because they hate President Trump. God forbid the American people rise together, united, out of poverty, together, into a middle class where everyone can afford life. So every day, every second, every minute, every hour, every day, the governments keep this shutdown. There is only one thing you should remember. The pain the Democrats are causing your brothers and sisters in American citizenry. Hopefully, some things will change. But today, on Capitol Hill, we also got to witness something beautiful. It's a complete breakdown of the weaponization against Trump and his supporters. Senator Schmidt had a wonderful breakdown. The truth is coming out. We're going to take a second here. It's about 5 minutes. We're going to listen to this if you didn't get to see it today. I want you guys to watch this. Take a minute here and listen to this.
I have to say, I am struck by the degree of the cognitive dissonance that I hear on the other side. It really is. I mean, I'm used to sort of the political debates and arguing in court and all those sorts of things. But to hear the other side of the dais talk about weaponization is truly shocking, given what we know now. And I thought what I might do is just tell a story. And these are 100% facts. Hillary Clinton, concerned about her email scandal, works with a Soros organization to cook up this Russiagate nonsense. They feed it to the intelligence agencies. And they spy, under Barack Obama's presidency, they spy on the political opponent, the Republican, running against Hillary Clinton. He gets elected. They continue the operation. And they launder this intelligence into stuff that was meant to, by the FBI and the CIA, to sideline a presidency of a duly elected president of the United States of America, to sideline him.
Just want to take a moment and pause here for a second. These are documents released just a few weeks ago by Tulsi Gabbard that is proof of what Senator Schmidt is telling you here. If you haven't seen those documents, go look them up.
And that continued. You heard even some people on this committee further that nonsense for 4 years. And then the FBI is involved with pre-bunking the Hunter Biden laptop story because they didn't want him to get elected again. So they pre-bunked the Hunter Biden laptop story. The American people should have been allowed to make their own judgments from that. They weren't, because the FBI called it a Russian hack and leak operation. They were meeting with social media companies every month and every week, telling them that the laptop that they knew, that they had verified in November of 2019, they knew was real and knew was his, said it was Russian disinformation. We've heard that before. And then, after Joe Biden comes in, 3 days in, they start a censorship campaign against the country, anybody who's a conservative. And now we also know that the FBI was weaponized in this Arctic frost investigation that tapped the phones of sitting U.S. senators. And also, the Republican Attorneys General Association, so let's pull in 2 more U.S. senators, Ashley Moody and myself, who were on the executive committee at that time. Charlie Kirk, political organizations they didn't agree with. This is not in the Soviet Union in the 1980s. This is in the United States of America in the last few years. And then, when they thought President Trump was on the run and there's no way people would elect him, and he announces he's running for president, 3 days later, Jack Smith's appointed to get Trump. Fannie Willis brings charges against President Trump, and the assistant prosecutor meets with the White House counsel's office. Why would that happen? Then you have Alvin Bragg bring his charges. The number 3 person at DOJ goes to work for him to get Trump. All in the United States of America. This continued. And Senator Hawley asked the question, wrote it down, what is happening in this country? And I hope that MSNBC is still broadcasting this, because I'm sure their viewership hasn't heard this story that's gone on for 10 years. The truth is, they never forgave President Trump for coming down the escalator at all. They didn't like him. They didn't like the disruption. And they've spent the better part of a decade not just going after him, but demonizing half the country as fascists and Nazis and threats to democracy. And they have fueled this division in their inability to accept the fact that half of the country isn't deplorables, as Hillary Clinton called them, bitter clingers, as Barack Obama called them, or trash, as Joe Biden called them. That they rose up and they sat in their own jury box and they saw all this stuff play out over a decade and they rejected it. And now you have come in to clean that up, and you are doing a great job in doing that. And let me make this clear. There is a big difference between what happened under the Biden regime and the weaponization, and then holding those people accountable. That is not weaponization. If that doesn't happen, this will happen all over again. So your job, as you talked about in your confirmation hearing, is so important that this never happens again. And holding people accountable who are part of this conspiracy is absolutely your job. And I'm also taking, you don't have to comment on this, your unwillingness to answer questions that have come up. I am led to believe, as a former attorney general, that might mean there's an ongoing investigation. You don't have to talk about it. The statute of limitations may have run on some of this stuff, but not on a conspiracy. And if you're a co-conspirator in mile marker 1, even if you want to get on the exit ramp in mile marker 5, you are liable for the conspiracy in mile marker 10. And we are at mile marker 10. And I will also say what's happening in this country. What's happening with the assault on ICE officers is truly shocking. Deportations are nothing new. Bill Clinton deported 12 million people. 12 million people. You didn't see this. The radicalization that's happened on the left that plays out with political violence is real. And by the way, let me also point out that if we had a scenario where John Thune was on the Supreme Court steps saying, "You've reaped a whirlwind, Supreme Court justices," and then a right-wing assassin tried to kill Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and then a Republican-appointed judge only gave that person 8 years, there would be riots on the streets. Cities would be burning right now.
Voice.
And he's not kidding. Democrats used a drug dealer, a drug addict, a domestic abuser, and George Floyd as an excuse, as a motivational factor to burn down many businesses, kill people all throughout 2020. It's insane to me to think how people would let this happen in their city. Democrat governors and mayors let this happen in their cities. Insane. One of the best kind of comments today, Attorney General Pam Bondi was just not having it today. She was attacked relentlessly by the left, as to be expected. This is just one of her little get backs here at Senator Dick Durbin. Let's take a listen to this.
Question. Your city has a murder rate 5 times higher than New York's. 571 homicides last year. If you were serious about protecting your people, you would be asking this administration for help. You're saying that we're coming into your state and your city. We're there to help make America safe and Illinois safe, whether or not you want to.
Amen. Amen. That is what our government is supposed to do. When you have mayors and governors who are unable to, even when it's out of their control, or unwilling to restore and protect law and order throughout this land. So, Pritzker, Newsom, all you Democrat scum. And yeah, you're scum for directly trying to destroy this country by not enforcing the law. And the good old Democrat shutdown is continuing to affect all forms of government. Pam Bondi refired back again after another vicious attack on Capitol Hill today. Let's take a listen.
Senator Klobuchar, I'm not going to discuss personnel decisions, but the personnel issue that I'm having right now is that all of my agents, all of my lawyers are working. My agents are on the street working without a paycheck because your party voted to shut down the federal government.
What a stomping. That is a grade A ass whipping right there. All brought on upon herself, along with the rest of the Democrat Party. It's time they face the truth. It's time that they are called out for their lies, called out for the ridiculous political agendas, and don't forget, Democrats are not immune to continuously shutting down the government. In 2013, Barack Obama shut the government down for 17 days to force Republicans to vote and pass Obamacare. But I'm glad to see that Republicans are starting to grow a spine. I am glad to see Republicans are starting to fight back. Senator Hawley had a great moment with Attorney General Pam Bondi today. Got to share this with you. It's great.
And the current president, I've also heard them said, and I just wrote it down because I wanted to be sure I heard it correctly. I've heard them say that Joe Biden never targeted his political enemies. Joe Biden never directed his attorney general to target his political opponents. That's interesting, because I could have sworn that yesterday we learned that the FBI tapped my phone. Let's look at it. We've got a list. Tapped my phone, tapped Lindsey Graham's phone, tapped Marsha Blackburn's phone, tapped 5 other phones of United States senators. Gee, it sure looks like targeting political opponents to me, and yet I haven't heard a word from that side of the dais about any concern whatsoever. We've got nothing but concerns today, but no concern at all for a Justice Department that is tapping the phones of sitting United States senators because who knows why. They don't like them. They're members of the opposition party. They're Republicans. They're conservatives. You've seen this document, Attorney General Bondi. Well, what was going on here? Who ordered this? Who ordered the tapping of the phones of United States senators?
Senator Hawley, I cannot discuss the details of that right now for very good reason.
You're going to do a thorough investigation into this, I trust. Is that correct?
We will be looking at all aspects of this, and I have talked to Director Patel at length about
And
this.
you're going to figure out who was involved in this, who signed off on all manner of things, and the current president.
So what I've been talking about, folks, the weaponization of government has to stop. And the only way for that to stop is to hold them accountable. Because if you don't, it's going to be right back again. So in 4 years or 8 years, or 16 years, when another Democrat finally gains control, they will do this again. They will manufacture evidence. They will create a conspiracy to try to undermine any other elected party that doesn't fall in line with their ideology. And it's not just Republicans, independents, libertarians. It won't just stop with one group. It will expand. It will grow. It will continue until it consumes everybody. And it still won't even stop there, because once they get complete full control, they will start to consume themselves. Candace Owens, on her show today, broke some interesting news. In our episode the other day, we talked about the many anomalies in what happened with Charlie Kirk. And apparently this is something everybody needs to see. I'll let Candace say it in her own words.
Three people told me off record. Two people who have this in a written communication from Charlie. One who is a Turning Point USA donor, and I would say very much one of the white knights in this. The very day before Charlie Kirk died, he expressed that he thought he was going to be killed. He told these people, I think they're going to kill me. Okay. He did not express that to me. So I am telling you this based off the testimony of three people. And I am saying this because I hope that these people who I think are good will be inspired to come forward with that. Now, again, those conversations I had were off record. I honor that. If I say it's off record, it stays off record. But I'm hoping that watching what I am doing and feeling the energy that is rising across the world for people who want to know what the heck happened on 9/10, that, they will be brave and they will say, yeah, Charlie did the day before he died think that he was going to be killed, and maybe tell us, who is they? Well, for once and for all, who is they? Who is the they that he thought were going to kill him? Now, to answer.
So why would Charlie have those fears? Why would he have those doubts of his safety? And I'm sure the people that are in that communication know exactly who he was referring to. Are those people behind what happened to Charlie? No matter what side of the fence you sit on politically, no matter how you feel about Charlie Kirk, you should definitely be concerned because all he did was share his voice. Gave you his opinions, his beliefs, and he was murdered for that. That's what we see on the surface level. But now, hearing this revelation that Candace Owens has broken, it seems like there may have been more to it than we're aware of. Or it could be paranoia. We don't know. What we should know is that everything she just said should be fully investigated by authorities to the fullest extent. So the FBI, local law enforcement, everybody should be balls deep in that. And I get the FBI and authorities are going to be pretty quite tight-lipped about things because, let's be honest, things can get out there in the atmosphere that could possibly jeopardize the prosecution. If this guy is the one who pulled the trigger to kill Charlie, we definitely do not want him to get away with reasonable doubt for any reason. So, yes, we should question the anomalies. Yes, we should speak out about them because we, as members of his family, as friends, as followers, as people that have come to know him more in his death than before they knew him in his life, we should all demand justice for Charlie. So yes, question everything. Because the world as we know it is getting scarier and scarier. But on a side note, it does look like there was some breaking news that involved Donald Trump today. Finally surfaced. I'm kind of ashamed to see this come to light, but we've got to share it with you. Here's some compromising photos released. We're gonna leave it to this lady to share with you what she's discovered.
The picture I'm about to show you is pretty controversial. They finally surfaced photographs of Donald Trump grabbing up, and I'm disgusted. He is supposed to be the president of the United States, and yet this is what we have. We have a guy that goes around grabbing pussies.
Her name was Kitty, made her money be.
Sorry if I had you on the hook there, but God, I love that. That is beautiful. That is awesome. Sorry for the language there, but very, very true. That's some compromising photos that really didn't expect to be seen. We're going to wrap up today's episode, guys. I want to thank you for everything that you've been doing, listening to the show, liking, sharing, subscribing, and doing your best to tolerate me as I'm growing, as I'm learning and developing my format for this show. Eventually, I want to have guests on the show where we can talk and discuss many factors in the political world and the religious world, how things are going to continue to change, how religion truly impacts our laws, and also how we can draw from God in the time of need to figure things out when we need strength, comfort, and guidance. And trying to figure out where we want to be in life, to help figure out what is the truth So don't forget, grateful for your ears here on Pollitt-tics. So go smash the subscribe button. 5-star it. Hit us up at Pollitt-tics on X. Your spark likes to feed. So stay faithful, fired up, and free. And don't forget to go visit reallifeshirts.com and pick up your Pollitt-tics t-shirt. We've got it in multiple colors: red, navy, dark ash, and black. Get your Pollitt-tics t-shirt. It's going to help grow the channel, help us get up with the big boys. Definitely appreciate it. Be sure to hit up on our socials, like, share, subscribe, and do it again. Rinse and repeat. One thing to always remember: trust in God, protect your family, and always question the politics. Catch you tomorrow.